Wow, Bitcoin is once again making headlines, and this time, the signals are too loud to ignore. In this video, we dive into what Michael Saylor and Tom Lee are calling a historic moment for Bitcoin and the entire crypto market. As BTC continues its steady climb toward a new all-time high, it's no surprise that two of the most credible voices in the space are more bullish than ever. The question isn't why they're bullish, it's why wouldn't anyone be? The momentum behind Bitcoin right now is unlike anything we've seen. Institutional interest is growing, corporate adoption is accelerating, and companies like Metaplanet are literally raising capital just to buy Bitcoin. Metaplanet holds 8,888 BTC following its latest 1,088 BTC acquisition announcement on June 2nd. Take a listen to Metaplanet CEO, Simon Jerovich.
Now, this is our market cap over the last 20 years. For nearly 2 decades, it barely moved. Can you guess when we adopted the Bitcoin standard? In just 12 months, we've gone from near zero to over 1.4 billion in market cap.
Wow, Bitcoin is no longer just a speculative asset. It's becoming a financial engine, one that's turning stagnant companies into market leaders, transforming balance sheets, and soon it could be doing the same for entire nations. Bitcoin isn't just digital gold anymore, it's gold 2.0. Only 100x better. In a powerful new CNBC interview, Michael Saylor explains how Bitcoin is reshaping the financial system, cutting through inflation, devaluation, and economic uncertainty. Meanwhile, Tom Lee lays out the roadmap for how institutional investors are preparing for the next crypto supercycle, and why this might be the last chance to buy Bitcoin before it skyrockets. Make sure you stay till the very end, where Saylor reveals practical strategies that everyday individuals like you and me can use to make Bitcoin work for us, to build wealth, create financial independence, and tap into a once-in-a-generation opportunity. If you're not paying attention right now, you're not just missing a price move, you're missing a seismic shift in global finance. Before we jump into this deep analysis with Michael Saylor and Tom Lee, make sure to like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more high-value Bitcoin and crypto content that keeps you ahead of the curve. Let's dive in.
You know, what's exciting here is we've done 3 IPOs of preferred stocks in the past 6 months. Strike was our first convertible preferred, and that was up 29%, while all the other preferreds were down 6%. Strife was a fixed preferred, paying 10% fixed yield at par. That's up 22% versus all the other preferreds down 4.5%. So Stride was the third of those preferreds. And what's going on here is we are offering fixed US dollar yield, and we're swapping it into BTC yield, which is what our equity investors want. The big breakthrough is that in the preferred market, the capital never comes due. There's no refinance risk. We're basically offering a perpetual US dollar yield forever. We're getting the capital forever. And so by matching a very long duration instrument on the liability side with a long duration asset, we're creating, in essence, an indestructible balance sheet. And these preferreds are a very scalable, extremely low risk way to generate leverage to drive a very large premium into the MSTR stock. So it's a win for the fixed income investors because they're getting a yield 400 basis points more than typical preferred stocks or junk bonds would yield. And it's a big win for our equity investors because they want more Bitcoin, and this is a way to get leverage without worrying about any kind of bond coming due.
If you have money, you buy Bitcoin, I think, don't you? It doesn't matter whether it's up, down, or flat.
150% Bitcoin, Joe.
Do you think at this point that there's, let me just say to you, what are you waiting for at this point in terms of good news? I think the regulatory environment since the election is definitely improved. We've talked about how much harder it gets to mine, and there's halving. When is the next halving, and what are the next moves that it would cause the asset Bitcoin to get to some of these? I don't know whether you have Tom Lee type projections. I think Tom the other day said eventually it could get to 2.5 million per coin or higher before we never really will get to mining the last coin, will we? Not in our lifetime.
Not in our lifetime, but the last 6 months have been tremendous. All of the fundamental planets have aligned. Bitcoin's been acknowledged as the one digital commodity in the world by the administration. The banking regulators have given a green light to bank Bitcoin. The accountants have upgraded the accounting to fair value accounting. There's been a surge of Bitcoin treasury companies. There's like 100 public companies or more that are holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and every single week there's another announcement. I think that, it used to be we're focused on the halvings, but at this point, the entire natural supply of Bitcoin is only 450 Bitcoin available for sale every day. That's sort of about $45, $50 million a day at this level. That is all being consumed by the Bitcoin treasury companies, and the Bitcoin ETFs are coming on strong. So I'm very bullish. My forecast in July of last year in Nashville was Bitcoin's going to appreciate 29% a year on average for the next 21 years. And that moves it from, it was about mid 60, 65,000 to 13 million a coin in the year 2045. I'm getting more bullish on that forecast, but I'm certainly comfortable forecasting 30% a year ARR on average for the next 20 years. I think Bitcoin's up 57% a year for the past 4.5 years. Again, that's double the Mag 7. That's quadruple the S&P. That's 8 times real estate, and bonds are down 4%. So Bitcoin is smashing everything, Joe.
You keep popping up in my feed. You've gone viral with some comments you made at the Bitcoin 2025 conference in Las Vegas recently. And it was where someone was asking you about proof of reserves for Strategy's 567,000 Bitcoin. You said that was not a good idea. You don't agree with it because you think it's a security risk to actually do the proof of reserves that way. But there have been a lot of critics in the Bitcoin world about that. They say that snubbing audits like that flies in the face of Bitcoin's founding principles, which are verifiable, transparent ownership. And they say for a company that has its entire business model around Bitcoin, that stance raises some eyebrows. What do you say to that?
The highest standard of in this case, transparency would be a public company audit from a company like KPMG, where they're auditing both your assets and your liabilities, combined with officer representations pursuant to Sarbanes-Oxley about related parties and the like. And so we are a publicly traded company. Our assets are audited. Our Bitcoin reserves are audited by KPMG, as are our liabilities. I think that, we're always thinking and considering, is there a way to do proof of reserves in a secure way? We're not enthusiastic about publishing all of our wallet addresses and having people track them every minute by minute, because it exposes our custodians, our counterparties, and our own employees to more IT risk. But we're considering it. We're thinking about, is there a way to do it with a zero knowledge proof? And we're also always thinking about self-custody and what is the right way to manage custodian risk. And I think what you see is there's the OG crypto advocates who developed a bunch of very strong ideas over the past decade, and there's an emerging class of institutional Bitcoin holders like BlackRock, like the ETFs, and like the Bitcoin treasury companies, and they're focused not just on the assets but also on the liabilities. We have to audit and publish those audits with 10Qs and 10Ks.
Tom Lee has always had a pulse on where the market is heading, and when he speaks, smart investors listen. So in a recent CNBC interview, Tom shares his thoughts on Bitcoin and the broader financial markets. What he said sent a clear message: we're headed up, and fast. But here's the twist. Lee didn't just say Bitcoin will go up because of hype or speculation. He tied Bitcoin's bullish momentum directly to liquidity, the same liquidity that's quietly powering the S&P 500 to new highs. According to him, when liquidity flows, risk assets like Bitcoin don't just rise, they explode. He breaks it down with crystal clarity, mapping Bitcoin's movements alongside equity market trends and showing how this perfect storm is forming right now. Take a listen to Tom Lee's breakdown.
Bitcoin for the past 10 years has been not only a leading indicator, but I think a risk-on indicator because it does respond to liquidity. So Bitcoin made an all-time high last week. Bitcoin peaked a month before the S&P did. So I do think this is telling us the S&P should be making all-time highs pretty soon. But it doesn't mean I think Bitcoin's capped as well. I mean, I think we have to keep in mind that institutional adoption for Bitcoin's growing. I think that consumer awareness for Bitcoin actually is still pretty nascent. And so when we still have a visible demand coming and a fixed supply, I think it's a lot of upside for Bitcoin.
Now, let's jump back to Michael Saylor's interview, where he shares practical strategies anyone can use to unlock real value from Bitcoin.
What made me talk about Bitcoin as a lifeboat?
Well, that you used Bitcoin as a lifeboat and it was the only option MicroStrategy had.
Yeah, because it's an exit from currency debasement and a financial crisis, and it's also an exit from entropy and a physical world.
What is your input in the Bitcoin circular economies around the world that try to adopt it in their daily lives?
Well, I mean, I think Bitcoin is an economic foundation or capital foundation for every economy. So I would suggest that everyone use Bitcoin as their savings account. And then when you want to spend money in Argentina or Turkey, you just convert the day of into the local currency. So I expect over time you'll see a lot of balance between stable coins and local currency and long-term capital assets like Bitcoin. And you need both if you're going to be successful.
And will we see hyper-Bitcoinization, or what needs to happen in order for us to see it?
I expect Bitcoin to increase to the point where it's somewhere between 7 and 20% of all the world's assets. But I think that there will still be a world with other assets. There will still be currencies and bonds and equities and property. And in that particular world, I think we'd maximize the productivity and the wealth and the prosperity of everybody involved. I think that Bitcoin's going to grow until it's the principal monetary index of the world and everybody is going to use it as their cost of capital. I think that'll be hyper-Bitcoinization.
So is the Lightning Network a perfect scaling solution for Bitcoin? Do you see multiple layer 2 technologies for Bitcoin?
I think that Bitcoin's an open protocol, so Lightning is the best known and it's in flux, and I think it's a good solution, but I think that there'll be a lot of competition and there'll be lots of other people offering layer 2 protocols, and I applaud all of that innovation. I think it'll take us to a better place.
Out of all of the conspiracy theories out there, which one do you believe to be one that is true?
I think Satoshi was sent from the future to save us from ourselves. A lot of people are trapped in the existing system. And so if you want all of your families and institutions and corporations to be saved, then we need to integrate Bitcoin into the systems that they're dependent upon. I think that Bitcoin will be a 1,000x more successful if it's integrated into the world as opposed to apart from the world.
And that's a wrap for today's video. Now it's your turn. What do you think about Michael Saylor and Tom Lee's insights? Are we really on the verge of the next big Bitcoin wave? I want to hear your thoughts. Drop them down in the comments below. If you found value in this video, smash that like button, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe for more real-time updates and deep dives into Bitcoin, crypto, and everything in between. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.